issues. But what I was saying is that the tour today did not disappoint. We started out early in the tour. As I said yesterday, the route was the first ever win by Mark Cavendish at the Tour de France. And so he was all pumped up, the expectations were pretty high. How you doing there? We got somebody typing hello on there. But basically, it's all flat. All the sprinters teams are on alert, making sure that nothing gets away. And not to disappoint, there was a frantic start at the beginning of the tour. There's Thomas de Gent there with Greg Van Avermaet. They basically started, the action and got into an early breakaway. You can see that's Greg Van Avermaet on de Gent's wheel there. A lot of the top guys were in there. But the thing is, because the sprinters teams were heavily represented in this breakaway, the pack did not let them get away. There was panic, and they started to hammer to bring them back in. Because when you have a lot of sprinters teams represented in a breakaway on a stage like this, nobody's going to chase at the end of the stage if all the sprinters teams have people in the breakaway. Because usually it's the sprinters teams that will try to bring back long breakaways on the stages where they believe their sprinter stands a chance of winning. So it didn't take them long to reel everybody back in. So Greg Van Avermaet took off because right before they got caught, he just basically broke away from the other guys and ended up going off the front just as the other guys were caught. I mean, he was hoping that there would be a lot more people, stronger riders going with him. So he only got one guy after he got away that kind of rode up there with him. His name was Roger Kluger. So basically, once they let those two stay out there, because those two got the early sprint points, the intermediate sprint points, this is where you can see Cavendish in green there. There were still additional points left because only two guys got the first 2 points. So they were still trying. Now, the points that you get on these kind of stages where you have intermediate sprints go towards getting the green jersey, getting closer to the green jersey, or keeping the green jersey. That's why you see Cavendish is up there in the action, because he wants to make sure that he doesn't let people get easy points. So you can see all of them kind of get across the line at the same time, pretty much. So they shared the points evenly. Nothing really dramatic happened per se. The reason you see that is because this is not the sprint for the stage. So you don't want to give all your effort on intermediate sprints. You want to kind of stay close, maintain, but not, blow the tank, basically. Greg and Roger continued on until about 6 kilometers. This is 6 kilometers to the end where the pack is actually reeling them in because they really didn't gain that much time. They got up to like 30 seconds at most. So they kept them close because the sprinters teams were on alert on this stage. You got Wout van Aert, Buani, Cavendish, all those guys, Sagan. So all those teams were making sure that nobody really got any significant amount of time. Once they got inside of 2 kilometers, Alaphilippe took the lead. Basically, he was leading out, just giving an effort to keep the pace high, because by keeping the pace high, you keep things safe and you thin out, the front of the pack. So he started the atrocities, so to speak, basically in a lead-out row. You can see here there are 2 lead-out lines, left and right. The problem with that is at some point they're going to converge. So when you got those 2 guys leading, you see MVP, Van der Poel pulled off the front because he was leading on the right for the Alpecin guys. And on this side, you can see here, look like Van Aert is there, and I think Sagan is there because on the left, Cavendish is behind the Koenig boys. And then you got, that looks like Cabrelli in the Italian championship jersey there. And so you got 2 lines that are going to come together, but they're looking to see all the top guys are going to save their energy. You can see Cav there in 3rd position. There's Cabrelli. Sagan is on the right, Van Aert is behind him, but they're waiting to see who's going to really drive in the last 300 meters or so. You don't want to go too early. Cavendish is very familiar with this stage because he's won here twice. And so once, what's his name? Melier was the main guy who started to lead out. He was leading out for Alpecin today. And once he started to lead, you can see Cav in the middle there in green. The two lines have come together. And this is where Melier is leading out his teammate. Cavendish is on the wheel, but Cavendish is going to wait because you don't want to go too early. There's a lot of wind. Sagan, Buani, they're all on the right behind Cav. Sagan was probably like 2 riders behind Cavendish. So he really didn't have a good position at that point, you know, and with everything that he's gone through in this stage, who knows what was going on with him. Right there, you can see Cav come a little over to the left. Remember, he was in the middle behind Melier and them. He's come over into the open here. If you look over to the right, you will see all the other sprinters kind of lining up. You see everybody lining up, and this guy is really opening up the lead out here. And right here, you can see everybody's pretty much on terms. This is when Cavendish has now come alongside. The rider who was leading out has faded, and this is the guy going for the win for Alpecin. And Cavendish is right on his elbow, and they're going pretty much head to head. You can see Buani on the right there. Everybody's pretty much giving it their all as they go towards the finish line, and Cavendish just carried more speed. It was good to see him win again, but it was a clean sprint. It was fast. They were doing up to like 46, 47 kilometers an hour by the time they got up there. So it was just nice to see, you know. I really enjoyed the stage. I felt like, man, it was good to see him come back to this stage and then win there. And, you know, let's see, Philipsen and then, Buani was 3rd, and Sagan was in 5th place. Sagan is in 5th place down there. So, you know, the top guys were there. Melier, who was leading out, ended up coming in like in 7th place. Then you can see Van Aert is like 8th, you know. So it was a fast sprint. They started early, and so you have to have speed and endurance to really hang in a sprint like that. You know, the stage results, you know, didn't change anything. Van der Poel is still in 1st, same as yesterday. All the top guys, everybody kind of held their position. We see Roger, like Primoz is in 10th place, so he's within striking distance. It was good to see. So I'm looking forward to see what happens when they hit the mountains. You know, that's always, you know, interesting. So it was another enjoyable stage. Usually the flat stages are boring, but because of Van Avermaet, they really spiced things up. They got them working. They didn't go in slowly. They had to do a lot of work today, because if they had let people go, they would have had to work a lot harder. And sometimes if they mess up, you know, just like I think it was the last stage where they caught that guy with 200 meters to go. So they didn't want to take the chance today, you know. So it's kind of, you know, hey, I see Dwayne is here. My brother is here. Hey, Paul. And Robert Tangler is here. Yeah, so it was exciting to see. I got some good clips, and so it was kind of nice to be able to kind of line everybody out. Van Aert is sprinting better, but, you know, with everything he's been through, like I said earlier, with that team, with Roglic and all of that, those guys had to work to get Roglic back once he crashed. So, you know, it'll take a while. And then Sagan crashed with, you know, Caleb and everything else that's been going on. So Sagan's not a pure sprinter. He's more of a all-arounder per se. So I have a feeling that he may get the green jersey when they start the mountains and stuff, because I don't think Cavendish does a lot of climbing. You know, I know he used to be good in time trialing, but I don't know if he does a lot of climbing. So I think Sagan is staying within striking distance of the green jersey, because he's always in the top 6 or 7 riders. So that's good to see. Dwayne said Markov pinned Sagan against the wall. I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that. I guess I missed that one. So did you check out the bike that Adam Blythe was riding on the pros training ride? There's a motorcycle commentator. He was riding a bike named Genesis. No, I didn't see that. I didn't follow that clip. I didn't follow that. Somebody's probably trying to get him to promote their bike. It was probably on NBC. I didn't watch this on NBC. I watched it on the GCN Plus. GCN has a streaming service now that does the races, so that's kind of cool. Their commentary is a little different. So I kind of like to watch them and then see what NBC is doing. NBC comes on here on television to see what Phil Liggett and Bob Roll are talking about. So it's kind of like, But these guys on GCN, they focus more on the action. And the NBC guys, Bob Roll spends too much time talking about the sights, like the sights and sounds of the towns and, the places of interest and all that kind of stuff. I like to focus on the racing. So that's kind of good. Well, the thing with the breakaway, Dwayne says, amazing how the Peloton toys with the breakaway. They're not really toying with the breakaway. It worries them depending on who's in the breakaway. So when the first guys went, you had a bunch of sprinters teams that was in the clinic. All those guys have members in there. So that means they weren't going to chase if they believed in whoever was in the break. And so the teams that were worried about it started chasing right away. They didn't give them much time. Grand Avramad and the guy he was with stayed out. They gained no more than 30 seconds. So they had it by keeping them within 30 seconds. They know they can reel them in. So that's what you mean. But in other words, they could not play back there. They had to ride. So if you let those guys gain several minutes and then you start chasing, you just run out of road and you can see them cross the finish line. Happens a lot. But they were not taking chances today. The team that Cavendish rides for, they really rode well for him. They wanted to make sure that he would get an opportunity to, win, because this was the first place that he won a Tour de France stage. He's won there twice, and it really suits him. And you could tell that he was very familiar with the stage because he waited till the very last moment to get out of the draft. And that's important. That comes from having, first off, confidence in your form and experience, not to go too early. Because really in sprinting, you want to accelerate across the line. You don't want to be slowing down when you get to the line, unless you've already gapped people. So you have to time your sprint to where you are accelerating as you cross the line. Then you don't get nipped, So Robert Tengler is here. Welcome, Robert. Alpine, welcome from Colorado. So it was a good stage. I mean, I'm looking forward to what they're doing tomorrow. We'll see. It's nice to see Cav in green, but, once they start climbing, I don't think he'll hang on to it. Sagan is a better climber than Cav. Cav is a pure sprinter. Sagan is not. So it's one of those things. So, but the action has been good, and I always look forward to these stages, So John said, what time does the race start? I can't find the time. I'm not sure what race you mean, John. Are you talking about the tour on the network TV in the U.S.? I'm going to assume that's what you mean. On NBCSN, which is what I get here on the telly, they start at 6:30 Central. 6:30 Central time. I have Dish Network. It's on their schedule. What I do is I record it because they have so many commercials, and I just run fast forward through those commercials. So it's 6:30 our time, but you can just go online and check and see who's carrying it in your area. I don't know who your provider is. It's not on regular television because NBCSN is a cable, network. And I also watch it on Eurosport or GCN Plus. Yeah, so it's kind of like, So 6:30 in the morning here is when it starts. Because over there, they probably start, I guess, mid-morning. Later in the morning is when the race actually starts on that side of the pond. So for us, it's very early. They start early so that they can finish, I guess, early afternoon or, sometimes late afternoon, depending on the length of the stage. So sometimes they'll start 10 in the morning or something like that and then run till 4 or 5. It's a full work day for those guys. Yeah. So if you let me know where you get it, but yeah, for the most part, just check your listings. You can go online and just check the listings for your provider. That's pretty much what it is. But Michael, yeah, Michael, you can watch the replay. This thing is recorded and it's replayed. So if you come in a little later, because we start around 4 Central here. And so it's kind of good. It takes, we're probably here for 15, 20 minutes at the most for each stage, because I'm only doing one stage at a time. That's kind of a good thing. It's quick. And what I may end up doing on Friday we usually have a Q&A. We may just do like a combination where we do the review and then maybe do the Q&A. I don't know. I don't really want to combine it. I want to keep them separate. Yeah, I saw that, Ibex. He said they arrested the lady. They arrested the lady, but she actually turned herself in, from what I read. The Tour de France dropped charges. So I don't think they're going to do anything. I think, she turned herself in and probably was contrite about it. So the tour organization decided they were not going to press charges, but they just wanted to make sure that people are aware that the cameras are for the riders of the tour. She was trying to pose for the camera and, and was not aware that she was endangering herself and the riders. So it's, it's cool that, they'll get that worked out. I think it's okay that they dropped the charges. I mean, the fact that she turned herself in was kind of cool. It turns out that she's actually from France, not Germany, from what I read. Dwayne said it's going to get better in the coming. It's been great. It's been a great first week. I mean, it's good to see these guys riding like they are. There was one little crash today, nothing major. One of the FDJ guys, he was not hurt or anything, but nothing major. Just one rider looked like. So I didn't even bother touching on that. But they just need to stay upright so we can enjoy watching a race. I don't watch it to see people fall off the bikes. It's like they need to just be a little more cautious. So hopefully it will stay clean. And, I'm looking forward to the mountain stages to really see the high wattage guys, all the climbers. Quintana made some moves. The other stage that MVP made those double attacks on, Quintana made a move on that stage, for a little bit, kind of stretched his legs on the 10% grade. But the MVP chased him down and took off. So hopefully we'll see more of Quintana in the high mountains. That's where the guys who don't need the high watts per kilo really can strive. Because if you're a light rider, you don't need to put out 6 watts per kilo to get away. The bigger guys are carrying more with them. Patrick was able to join us today. Patrick says, are you surprised someone as lightly built as Patrick can beat the heavier build? Yeah, I was very surprised. That was what I talked about yesterday. Everybody was surprised because the lighter riders have problems on flat roads. So he must have done some specific training knowing that, they released the stages, the route of the tour a year before. So he probably did some specific training to get ready for that because he really, he won the stage. And now he's sitting there as like a champion in waiting because he's 8 seconds behind MVP. Once they hit the mountains, MVP will relinquish the jersey as expected and then probably wait to do something more on the flatter stages or some stages that have rolling terrain that suits him. But as far as the overall, I don't think MVP is going for the overall on this year anyway. I don't think that's his goal. This is his first tour. He's new to the road, so it's a bit unreasonable to expect that. I think he's going to pick his spots. So he will definitely keep the jersey as long as he can. And then once they get to the high mountains, we'll see. I was very surprised that Pogačar rode as well as he did. It was nice to see. The other guy who surprised me, I haven't talked about it, was Chris Froome. Chris Froome was within 30 seconds. Now, this guy had a broken leg. I mean, they didn't talk more about it. I followed him. So it's like he came a long way back. That was a serious injury. And, he had strength imbalances in his legs and all of that, and then come to the tour and then he crashed on the other leg, the good leg, which got swollen. He was staying in the hospital like till midnight to get treatment. between stages and to see him ride like he did, because really, you think about it from a morale standpoint, I wasn't sure he was going to put the effort in, because if you're not shooting for something, you're a former champion, you're not shooting for something high. I think he just wanted to see where he stacks up. And don't be surprised if he's going to use this race to get ready for something later this year, like the Vuelta. We'll see. I hope he can get back, like Cavendish is back to his old sprinting form. I hope that Chris Froome gets the opportunity to show us his top form in the near future. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this here. I think what I will do on Friday, maybe have 2 sessions, do this and then do the Q&A separately. So we have 2 different videos for those who are interested in just the Q&A and then the tour separately instead of combining them. So I want to thank all of you for joining. We appreciate it. And those of you who came a little later, just watch the replay. But I think you would like the shots that we got. I tried to get more clips of the finish to show the progression of Cavendish as he went through to win this stage. So you guys take care and be safe out there and keep those doctors fired.